Here's our warm-up for today. Please pause the video while you work on these questions. Here are the solutions. On question number 1, you're going to distribute the X out first, and you get the red term. Then you're going to distribute the yellow, and you get the blue terms. Simplify your insides and your outsides, and you get a positive X. Number 2, distribute your blue, 2X. Distribute your yellow, 3X, and you get your red terms and your blue terms. Again, insides and outsides have a common factor, X, and they make negative 7X. On your last set, we have to distribute the X squared, the 5X, and the negative 6. So we get 3 sets. We have the blue, the red, and the green. So then the X squareds combine together, the X's combine together, and we get a polynomial with 4 terms. Remember, your answers always need to be in standard form with your highest exponents first. Our lesson today is 8-4, simplifying and multiplying special polynomials. So our rule for the day today is to follow this pattern. A plus B quantity squared equals A plus B times A plus B. If I look at these 3 samples of my rule I'm going to demonstrate today, if I multiply first, I get X squared. My outsides give me 7X, my insides give me 7X, and my last gives me 49. So I'll simplify my insides and outsides. Answer is X squared plus 7X plus 49. Doing the second example, first, outside, inside, last, my insides and outsides make 6X. Again, another example, first, outside, inside, last, insides and outsides simplify. So now if we look for a pattern, this is the term we're looking at, the 7. And I see a mistake here. What should that number be? 14. So 7X plus 7X is 14X. And that kind of highlights what our rule is going to be. If we double 17, we get 14. And if we square it, we get 49. Double 3, we get 6. Square it, we get 9. Double 8, we get 16. Square it, we get 69. So that's where this pattern is coming from. We double A times B, and then we square it to get the back. So our pattern is when we have A plus B quantity squared, we get A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. When we do subtraction, that's just going to be a minus 2AB. So again, if this is just an X, then we square the 4 and we double it. So doubling gives us 8X, squaring it gives us 16. Doubling negative 3 gives us negative 6, squaring negative 3 gives us 9. So in our pattern, A squared is X squared. B squared is 64, and then if we multiply these two, we get 8X, and if we double it, we get 16X. So our answer is X squared plus 16X plus 64. And if you don't like the pattern, you always have the option to multiply this out by using FOIL. Let's try this again. Again, you can use a pattern. So this is subtraction, so we're looking at this rule here. So this is my A, so A squared is going to be N squared. B squared is 49. And then we multiply them together and double. So 7N times 2 is 14N. So my answer is N squared plus 14N plus 49. When we have a term in front of the X, same idea. If I square that, that's really 2X quantity squared. So 2 squared is 4, X squared is X squared. And then squaring the back gives me 81. So now to get the other term, I have to multiply this, and I get 18X. But the pattern says to double that. So doubling 18 gives me 36X. So then following this pattern, I get 4X squared plus 36X plus 81. So why don't you try these two? Please pause the video while you work. So in our top question, a squared is x squared, so we square this term, square the back term for 64, multiply these two together and double to get 16x. Number 2, we have to take this and square it, so we get 4h squared, take the 2 and square it, and we get 4, and then we multiply these two together, and then we double it. So our answer is 4h squared plus 8h plus 4. We will skip the last example. Try these two. Pause the video while you work. Here are the answers to number 1 and 2. Y squared, 16. Multiply them together and double for the negative 8y. Number 2, square this for 16t squared. Square the 1 for 1. Multiply them together and then double for 8t. This next type of example is for the product of a sum and a difference. So a plus b times a minus b. So this time our insides and our outsides are going to give us opposites. So they will end up subtracting off and disappearing. So our rule is a plus b times a minus b equals a squared minus b squared. So here's an example. If I square my first term and I square my last term, I get x squared and negative 4. My insides would give me a positive 2x. My outsides would give me a negative 2x, so those will cancel. So my answer will be x squared minus 4. With this pattern, you really only need to do the first and the last because the insides and outsides cancel out. So let's try an example. If I just FOIL this, first gives me x squared, outside gives me minus 9x, inside gives me plus 9x, and last gives me a minus 81. So look at my insides and my outsides, they cancel. So my answer is x squared minus 81. If we just follow our pattern, this is going to be x squared, this is going to be 81, so we get x squared minus 81. Looking at this pattern, we have x squared times x squared, so that would give us x to the 4th, and then my last 3 times 3 would give me 9. Our pattern shows subtraction. Double checking our insides and our outsides, we would get a positive 3x squared and a negative 3x squared, which gives us nothing. So that's why this is our solution. Try these 3. Please pause the video while you work. Here are the solutions. Notice my outsides and my insides will make 0, so that's why they've disappeared. 3x minus 3x disappeared. 10x minus 10x disappeared. So we're just squaring a and we're squaring b, and then the sign is subtraction. Try these 2. Pause the video while you work. Here are the solutions to these 2 questions. Again, the pattern is the sum and the difference. So our insides and outsides disappear, give us 0, give us 0. So it's first and then last. Please try to use your patterns on 1 through 4. Pause the video while you work. Be careful on these questions. When you're doing these problems, it doesn't hurt to just write it out and try them. If you're not good at memorizing patterns, you can always write them out and try them. Looking at number 1, my insides and my outsides give me 4a and 4a for 8a. Number 2, my insides and outsides give me 4x and 4x, so that gives me an 8x. My first and my last are common in all of our patterns today. Number 3, insides and outsides are going to give me a negative 2 and a negative 2 for negative 4g. Number 4, whenever there's 2 parts in our first term, that's when it gets a little sticky. So make sure you square both terms to get 4h squared. And then when you're getting your middle term, you have to multiply these together for 10h and then you have to double it because it's 2AB. So that's where we're getting our negative 10H and negative 10H for negative 20H. This concludes our lesson.